The most frightening thing about the future is how we will die. Will it be sudden, painful, alone? We don't know, which is why experts say death anxiety is completely normal. But some fears are more relatable than others. Like take, for example, the fear of being buried alive. How terrified would you be if you woke up underground, trapped in a coffin, unable to move, unable to speak, unable to escape? If you're claustrophobic, just picturing it probably triggered a panic attack. Now imagine that happening not in a coffin, but in your own bed. Your arms and legs are free, but your torso is pinned down by an invisible force. You try to scream, but no sound comes out. And as you thrash around, you catch movement in your peripheral vision. Dark shapes are gliding around the room. Something is definitely there. You can feel its presence, but when you turn your head to look, there's nothing there. And just when you think it can't get any scarier, a tall, dark figure emerges from the corner of the room and begins to approach you. If you've never experienced it, it might sound far-fetched, but this terrifying scenario isn't a scene from a horror movie. It's the all-too-real experience of sleep paralysis. For thousands of years, cultures around the world have reported terrifying nighttime experiences. Some call it a demon sitting on their chest. Others say it's alien abduction or ghosts haunting the night. The figures are always the same: shadow people, looming presences, and a suffocating weight that makes it feel like you're about to die. But what's really going on? Why does the mind conjure such horrifying hallucinations, and why can't you move? To understand sleep paralysis, we need to take a journey into the world of dreams. When we dream, our brains go into overdrive, creating vivid, sometimes bizarre worlds and characters. But our brains also protect us during this imaginative journey by putting our bodies into a temporary state of paralysis. This might sound scary, but it prevents us from physically acting out our dreams, which could be dangerous. This paralysis is called REM atonia, which comes from the neurotransmitter responsible for it, adenosine. Basically, REM atonia temporarily paralyzes your muscles, except for your eye muscles and diaphragm, which allows you to breathe while sleeping. Without REM atonia, you could seriously injure yourself or others while asleep. Just imagine punching someone or kicking them in the face during a particularly intense nightmare. But REM atonia can cause problems of its own. Sometimes your brain wakes up during this paralyzed state, meaning you become conscious without your body moving. This might not sound too bad, but it's actually pretty terrifying. You're fully aware, but your limbs are still paralyzed. You can see, hear, and think, but you can't move or speak. Victims describe it like being trapped in a horror movie with no way to escape. And sleep paralysis doesn't last just a few seconds like a regular nightmare. It can keep you paralyzed for minutes, though most episodes end after about a minute or two. So why does this happen? Well, scientists aren't 100% sure, but they do have some theories. One has to do with the nerves connecting your brain to your muscles. When you fall asleep, messages are sent through these nerves to put your muscles into a paralyzed state. This keeps you from moving during REM sleep, but sometimes these messages get garbled and your brain can't properly receive them. This means you'll wake up before the paralysis wears off. Another theory has to do with the neurotransmitter norepinephrine. This chemical helps control sleep cycles and REM atonia. But if norepinephrine levels drop too low while you're sleeping, you may experience sleep paralysis. But if it's just a side effect of these neurological processes, why are the hallucinations so vivid? Well, scientists believe they're part of the brain's fight or flight response. When your body is in danger, adrenaline pumps in, your heart races, and your brain scans for threats. But if your limbs are paralyzed, your brain needs another way to respond to danger. So it creates threatening images in your mind, urging you to flee or fight. This explains why victims often report seeing dark, menacing figures in their rooms. To the brain, These hallucinations are indistinguishable from reality, so it responds as if they were real, making the experience even more terrifying. Sleep paralysis itself isn't dangerous. It just feels that way because your brain is tricking you. After all, it's just a figment of your imagination, right? So why should you care? Well, sleep paralysis can leave victims traumatized, terrified to go back to sleep for fear of the episode recurring. And in some cases, the fear can trigger new episodes. It can also make sleeping more difficult, leading to fatigue and other physical and psychological problems. But most people only experience sleep paralysis once or twice in their lives. And while the experience is terrifying, it's ultimately harmless. After all, those menacing figures aren't real. You never actually saw them, only imagined them in the darkness of your room. And when the paralysis lifts, you'll be safe in your bed, wide awake and ready to start the day. But if you do find yourself frozen in bed with a dark figure standing over you, try to remember, it's just your brain playing tricks. Take a deep breath, wait for the paralysis to pass, and then get some sleep. Hopefully next time you won't have any unwelcome visitors.